What is up, everybody? Going to take a few minutes here to let some people roll in. I see that there's already a good amount of people hanging out in the lobby. Unfortunately, of course, we all know what the how this game ended up playing out. If not, you can see it right here. Golden State Warriors get the win today in Golden One Center over the Sacramento Kings. They win Game 7. They win the series 4-3 in what was undeniably, undoubtedly the best first round series that we had in this year's playoffs. Of course, this is the only series that ended up going 7 games. As the winner of this series, knew that they would head over to LA to face the Los Angeles Lakers as they took care of business in 6 games against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now we will see a Warriors-Lakers series in the second round. That series, I believe, will kick off Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely sometime midweek here. Expect to see Golden State in Los Angeles tip off tonight. Yeah, Golden State was the better team. They executed better tonight, 120-100, winning over the Sacramento Kings. Stephen Curry with we saw history tonight. If there's, it's clearly not a positive for Sacramento, but to see Steph Curry tonight do something that has never been done in NBA history in a Game 7 closeout game. Steph dropped 50 points, 50 points. A Game 7 record, doesn't matter what round, and Golden State needed it tonight. We did a nice little pre-game show here on Sactown Sports 1140. Jason Ross did a great job hosting that, but me and Rami closed it out, and I pretty much talked just about this, about how the easiest pathway for Golden State to win this game was just Steph Curry going crazy, going absolutely ballistic. He's capable of putting up these 40, 50-point games any night. And we saw tonight 50 pretty easy points for Steph, 7 of 18 from 3, 20 of 38. So the man took 38 shots tonight. But, that's the exact kind of attitude and mentality you need to have going into these Game 7s. Is it's going to be on your shoulders, especially when you're a guy to the caliber of Stephen Curry. You could argue that was the difference in tonight's game was that the Warriors had Steph Curry and the Kings didn't, and it was really that, just plain and simple. He just did so much for this team, not just tonight, but all series long, hitting tough shots. And, it was clear that he was the best player in this series, especially after De'Aaron Fox went down with his hand injury. Him and Steph were really battling it out for those first 4 games. But I mean, man, all you can really do is just shake your head and accept greatness, because Steph was absolutely phenomenal tonight and was everything that his team needed for them to get the victory, and they did. On the Kings side of things, we talk about De'Aaron Fox. Probably would have wanted a better performance out of him tonight. 5 of 19 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3. A lot of desperation threes towards the end of the game. He finishes off with 16 points, 6 assists. Domantas Sabonis had himself a rough series, and I know people are on this man's neck. We'll talk about him a little bit later tonight or today. It's only 3. What time is it? It's 3:32, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting to have this game over earlier in the day. But Sabonis, he had statistically a good night. 22 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists for Domas. But eye test all series long, you can tell that he was not him, and he was not the guy that we saw all regular season long. I know, again, a lot of people are really, really upset with Sabonis' performance this postseason. I'm not going to sit here, sugarcoat it, and lie to you guys and say, oh, he did a lot of things that don't show up in the box score. It's tough. It's, if you look at, I'm telling you, and this, I don't know if this is, you want to use this as an excuse or what, but this is what Golden State does. Ask every single big man in the NBA. Nikola Jokic last year didn't look the same against Golden State. We're about to see Anthony Davis. Won't look the same against Golden State. They just put you in so many different actions. They make big men guard the perimeter. It's really, really tough for big men to look and have the kind of impact that they normally have. It's the reason why Rudy Gobert is in Minnesota right now and not in Utah. It's because Golden State makes they just break your team, and they make you go to things that you haven't gone to all year long, and we saw that tonight. Speaking of adjustments, Terrence Davis tonight was definitely the biggest the biggest adjustment that Mike Brown has made in these last two games of this series. He plays 20 minutes tonight. It's a little, it was an up and down performance from TD. Definitely hit a couple triples there. Hit 4 threes. He was 4 of 10 from 3. Finished with 14 points, and he guarded Steph Curry for a lot of his minutes. When he was out there. And good job by Terrence Davis to not have many minutes for a majority of this series, and then he stepped up really big in these last two games. That was good to see. But I've talked a lot about Stephen Curry, talked about Domas, talked a little bit about De'Aaron. In my opinion, I know Steph just had 50, but the most valuable player in this series was Kevon Looney, hands down. This is, how many rebounds did he? 21 rebounds tonight. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, this is his third game this series, 3 of 7 games. Loon finishes with 20-plus rebounds. That's incredible. I don't know if people fully understand how insane it is to get 20 rebounds in one playoff game. For him to get it in 3 and to just star in his role it changed the game completely. I mean, that third quarter, heading into that third quarter at halftime, Golden State only had 2. They had 2 offensive rebounds at halftime. Golden State ends that third quarter with 15. 13 offensive rebounds just in that third quarter. And that was really the game. Everyone felt it. You could feel it in the arena. I'm sure you can notice it on TV as well. But the second Looney started really impacting the game on the glass, it just felt like the Kings had no hope because they did the hard part. They were getting multiple stops against this Golden State offense, which we all know how tough that is. And by the way, shout out the Kings for holding Golden State to 43% from the field, 32% from 3. I thought the story of tonight was going to be missed free throws on both sides. I thought it was going to tell the story of the game. Both teams miss 11 free throws tonight, including 2 from Klay Thompson, 2 more from Steph Curry. We saw him miss 3 in Game 6. Very uncharacteristic for the Warriors to miss that many free throws. Super disappointing that the Kings couldn't capitalize on a night like tonight where, again, it felt like Golden State, for even a moment there, left the window open for the Kings to come back in this one. Again, that third quarter, I think they're going to look back at all the offensive rebounds, the fact that they were able to get the stops but not end the possession and get the rebounds. To me, that was the key, and that really flipped this game on its head. And then that fourth quarter, man, the Kings tried to hold on, but Golden State was just, this is what they do. They've been here before. This is why experience comes into play in moments like these. They were the more composed team. They executed better down the stretch. And, the bigger theme of this series is this was a fantastic learning experience for this team. I don't think that they could have asked for a tougher opponent. And, I don't think us as fans could have asked for a better performance in a loss for a series, because, again, just you learn so many lessons through playing the champions. Again, these guys have broken the mold of how these things are played. Hold on, Gary Payton II's about to walk right behind me, right here in a second. So there's GP2 making a nice little cameo into the stream. What did he do tonight? He had 4 quick fouls. I noticed, wasn't able to make the impact, but shout out GP2 right behind me. 16 minutes, 2 points, 4 fouls, 3 rebounds. Not much for that guy over there. But yeah, again, just a terrific learning experience for this team. I know it's a moral victory kind of thing, but the fact that that the Kings were able to really, I mean, they earned so much respect. I can't wait to hear what the Warriors comments are going to be in this post game, because I know it's just going to be about how much respect that they have for this Sacramento Kings team, for what Mike Brown has done here in Sacramento, and for the effort that this team just put forward. I mean, for them, again, for these guys to not be in the playoffs for 16 seasons, it's and then again have to enter in the playoffs your first series and play the defending champs. Granted, I know they don't look like your traditional defending champs as the 6th seed, and as a team that was a little banged up and definitely had some questions throughout this season. They were beatable, and the Kings had multiple opportunities. If you rewatch a few the Kings losses in this series, they had a chance to turn this thing around. Obviously the most easy, clear moment was, if that Harrison Barnes shot goes down in game 3, we're talking about a completely different series. If the Kings hit a couple more jump shots in games 3 or 4, they probably take this series. If tonight they don't allow that many offensive rebounds, the fact that they were able to get the stops but not get the end the possession with the rebound, they're definitely going to look back on this series and feel like it's a ton of missed opportunity, and it was there for the taking. But again, just a big learning experience for this team, for them to go through this and for them to fight the way they did, I think is huge. And I think that they gained a lot of respect, not just from the Warriors, not just from people in this town, but I think national media. We're going to see a completely different kind of conversation when it comes to the Sacramento Kings, who have just perennially been ESPN's dumpster, where they can just talk crap about the Kings relentlessly and not really have any repercussions on it. Now you have to respect this team. You have to pay attention to what they're doing. I see super agent Rich Paul over here. Seems like a good transition point to talk about the stars that were out tonight. Hold on, Rich Paul is about to walk right behind me again. Rich Paul being LeBron's agent, also represents Kings point guard De'Aaron Fox. That was him right there. I didn't want to be caught talking about. Didn't want to get caught talking about him as he walks right behind me. But Rich Paul was in the building tonight. Kyrie Irving, obviously not in the playoffs. He was sitting courtside tonight. I saw Hufanga of the San Francisco 49ers take a courtside pick. Obviously, Brad Miller always in the house. Hassan Minaj was in the house. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch were in the house. People came out, man. People absolutely wanted to see this series, wanted to see how this thing was going to end. Harry Giles, former Sacramento King, was in the building. Rich Paul, Tony, shout out Tony. Rich Paul is right behind me. Makes no attempt to speak with him. Yeah, that was not the time to cozy up to Rich Paul. I'm sure he's got a ton of things going on, and he doesn't need to talk on the stream. It would have been really cool though to see Rich Paul have both of his clients on either side of the series. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox and LeBron James, his best friend. Would have been a cool series to see. I would have given Kings in 6, maybe Kings in 5 for the Laker prediction. We're never going to get that series, unfortunately. Maybe next year we can exercise that demon. But again, I'm going to keep harping on this, and I know some people don't want to hear it right now, but this is by every stretch, this is a successful season. I know that they did not have the result that we wanted to see. I know it would have been really fun to see this team in a second round. I know this was a very, not demoralizing, but it's not how we would have wanted to see them go out in a game 7. But this season has been so fun. The 48 wins nobody saw coming. The playoffs, not play-in, playoffs, no one saw coming. And for them to go 7 games with the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions, for them to get 2 home wins, probably the 2 funnest games here in Sacramento's history. I mean, game 1 will live in its own little bubble for the rest of my life as the greatest sporting event that I've had the opportunity of attending. Game 2, to get that win after you had already won game 1 and you kind of were playing with house money. for them to get the result in game 2 and then find their backs against the wall in game 6, having to go into Chase Center and getting that win. Again, this is just something that you can build on moving forward. You have confidence now going into next year. And, you just have to take this momentum, take these opportunities that you've just been through, and you got to learn from them. I mean, none of this means anything if you don't take advantage of the opportunity. I think this is going to be a really big offseason for the Sacramento Kings and for the development of their players. I thought the thing that I was happy is to see these last 2 games as well, the reemergence of Keegan Murray, to see Keegan struggle early throughout this series and then really bust open in game 4 and have the game he did. And then every single game after that, just slowly build upon his performances. I thought he looked incredibly comfortable out there where he completely didn't the first couple games of this series. He finishes off tonight with 10 points, 7 rebounds. But again, with Keegan, it was more just about how he looked on the floor as a fit. And he looked a lot more comfortable than he did at the beginning of this series. Knocked down a couple shots. We got to see some Keegan Murray bag extension. We got to see a nice little Euro step out of Keegan. We saw a lot of off the dribble stuff from Keegan today, working off of screens. That's all going to be a huge part of his development and what he can do for this team moving forward, not just next year, but in the years after that. Because the thing that I really learned about this team is they need another guy. They absolutely need another guy. Domantas Sabonis is going to have tough times against certain matchups. He can't really, dribble and create his own shot. They need somebody else who can create their own shot in this offense, because it was a Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox exclusive show for way, way too much of these last 3 games. So, we'll back to the drawing board. It's now back in Monty McNair's hands. Mike Brown did his job. He brought this team to the promised land. They played incredibly well. And it's how these things go. There can only be one team raising that Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year. Nobody was expecting it to be the Sacramento Kings heading into the year, but of course, as we got closer and closer to it, I think people really started to believe that this team could make a really special run this year, and I completely agree. I think that there was, again, this series was available for the taking. It's disappointing they couldn't get it, but that's where experience comes in. And against a Golden State Warriors team, again, defending champs, you were going to have to be perfect. You were going to have to execute as well as you possibly could, and they just didn't. And yes, it's disappointing, but let's take this as a learning moment for the team, and it's a good opportunity. All right, bro. Good to see you. Yes, sir. Um, yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. Great season, fantastic memories. The beam we will always remember this as the first year of the beam. This is going to be a special season when we all look back on it. It really sucks that it's over, but it's the ultimate cliche. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And there's just so many fun memories from this season. I mean, the accolades: Mike Brown, Coach of the Year; De'Aaron Fox, Clutch Player of the Year. Maybe Monty McNair can get Executive of the Year. A lot of positives to take out of this year, and again, it's just things to build off of. And now again, it's Monty McNair's turn to see what went wrong in this series and how they can maybe adjust and make this team a little bit more malleable. I think that's something that Golden State does for every team, is they make you really realize your warts and how you can be perfect. And it's on Monty McNair to look at all of this and see where this team needs to improve. Clearly defense is going to be a point that needs to be addressed. Maybe we see a backup center in here next year. Maybe somebody who has a very rebounding and rim protection focus, which was clearly, rim protection was an issue for the Kings all season long. But we saw in this series, Rebounding is also an issue. It's not just on the back of Domantas Sabonis, who, by the way, led the NBA in rebounds. He needs help. And we saw Keegan Murray step up these past couple games and start rebounding, but it's going to take a village. And the Kings, they just need more talent. Let's see here. How's everyone feeling today? It feels like just scrolling through the comments, it feels like I'm proud of people. I'm proud of how level-headed everyone seems to be relative to the situation that we're in here. Obviously, it would have been nice to not have a blowout, but it was really cool to see these fans stay until the final whistle, cheer on their team. Got a nice little Sacramento chant going. It's really cool to see. That's the kind of thing that, that doesn't happen every other place. We saw Warrior fans the other night in that Game 6. They were heading to the exits with 4 minutes to go. That could have been the last game that they saw from their Warriors team all season long. And even in a 20-point blowout, there was a ton of Kings fans still in the building cheering for their team and letting them know how proud we were, how proud they were of this season. And again, just one that I don't think anybody's going to forget. The first year we had the beam, we will see the beam again from everything I hear. Sounds like it's going to be a staple moving forward. I know there was a lot of talk about, will they replace the beam? Is the beam just going to be a one-year thing? The beam will be back. The beam will be back. Let's see here. Oh, man. Kevin John out here running routes. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up here, y'all. I got to get out of here. I got to deal with the emotions I'm feeling right now. Obviously, the season over. This is my 1, 2, 3. I think this is my 4th season covering the team now. Definitely the most winning, definitely the most memorable, besides maybe the COVID shortened seasons for other reasons. But this season has been so fun. We've gotten to do a handful of these post-game live streams. I've had a blast. Thank you, everyone who's hopped on, not only in the playoffs, but to the ones that we did during the regular season as well. I know we kind of cut them in and out throughout the season, but with how crazy this year was from a station standpoint and from a King standpoint, we were everybody, even the Kings here, have been trying to figure out how we navigate this new territory of being in the playoffs. And hopefully we deal with this problem years after years after years to come here, because it's a really good problem to have is playoff basketball. That's going to be it for tonight. That's going to be it for me for the season. Sacramento Kings fall to the Golden State Warriors tonight, 120-100. That was Alvin Gentry right there, former Sacramento Kings head coach and former Warriors assistant. As the Golden State Warriors take this series 4-3, that's a final here from Golden One Center. It's a final for this series. That is a final for this stream. Again, thank you all so much for hopping on here, and we will be back. Tune in tomorrow. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Me and Kyle Madsen will be breaking down all this Game 7 action right here on Sactown Sports 1140 and the Sactown Sports 1140 YouTube channel.